Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Kapows Arcade Adventure. Can you guys believe that summer is over? It is the season of pumpkin spice latte, Halloween, and all the good stuff that comes along with rolling into the fall after we get done with the hot, sweltering summer that we had down here in Virginia. Now, as the summer was coming to an end, right before Labor Day weekend and before I sent my middle child off to college, we decided to take one last trip and we headed up to New York State, specifically to Westbury, Long Island, where I'm from, to attend this year's Long Island Retro Gaming Expo. Now, the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo is an annual event that's held at the Cradle of Aviation Museum in Nassau County. It's actually put on by a friend of mine named Seamus, who is the curator of the arcade collection there at the Cradle of Aviation Museum. And the event is an annual kind of love letter to classic gaming, everything from console gaming to arcade games, now to pinball that they've added over the last couple of years. They do a huge cosplay event as well as tournaments and vendors and kind of everything that goes into this event over the course of a wonderful weekend, getting up and getting your game fix on Long Island in New York State. Now, while we were there, I had to also get my pinball fix satisfied. And I had heard about a new place that opened in Patchogue, Long Island, which is out in Suffolk County, called Pinball Long Island. I keep wanting to say Long Island Pinball. It rolls off my tongue a little bit better, but it actually is Pinball Long Island. Now, Pinball Long Island has been around for a little over a year. It is the creation of a guy named Josh Guskin. Josh has been collecting arcade games and pinball machines for over about 20 years. He's in his early 40s now. His very first pin that he was telling me that he picked up was a Data East Jurassic Park back in the day. And he kind of got that bug. And those of you that collect either arcade games or pinball machines, I've said it before, you guys know how this works. It's kind of like Lay's potato chips, man. You can't just have one. One becomes two, two becomes four, and before you know it, you're sitting in your own arcade in your basement of your house. Now, Josh got the bug pretty good. He got into the business of, both working in the arcade community as well as being a collector. He was telling me just at his private collection at home alone, he's got over 60 games that he doesn't even have in the arcade out in Patchogue. So he's really the real deal kind of a guy. Some of my favorite types of people that open arcades aren't ones that just do it because it's like the new fad of retro arcades or bar arcades. Like, they're actual collectors and lovers of games at their heart, and Josh really falls into that category. Now, Pinball Long Island boasts roughly 100 games on site. Majority of those are all pinball machines. There are a few arcade games that he has at the front of the arcade when you kind of first come in, but the large majority are just pins. And he does a wonderful job with how he's curated the collection of both modern titles as well as classic titles. So why don't you guys sit back, relax, and check out what it is that Pinball Long Island has to offer, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. So the first thing that stands out to me, man, is the decor is sleek, it's chic, it looks fantastic. They've got a great receiving desk as soon as you walk inside. It is a one-price play-only model, so for kids it's $10, for adults it's $20, all you can play all day. In talking with Josh, the owner, they've been around since about 2023, and they've got roughly 100 games, both combined with pins and vids on site. So I haven't even had a full chance to do a complete walkthrough yet, so you guys are gonna kind of see this as I see it, and let's kind of take you through. So you guys have heard me on the channel before, I'm a sucker for cool decor. And as soon as you come in and you see the Terminator robot kind of staring at you menacingly, it looks fantastic. And then the first few things that you're going to see up towards the front is they've got some really great classic vids. You've got Centipede, Space Invaders, and Tron. And then on the other side, you've got Missile Command, Asteroids, and Galaga. But that's not what we're here for, although vids are cool. I've spent the whole day doing vids, but we're going to roll right into the pins and kind of take you guys through what they've got going on. So one of the first ones you're going to see when you walk up, you've got Munsters, followed up by Shrek, Wizard of Oz, Dialed In. Dialed In, man, it just doesn't get the love it deserves. It is my most favorite Jersey Jack game, so I'm definitely going to be playing that later. We've got Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Family Guy, Simpsons Pinball Party, Star Trek. This is one of my favorite Stern pins. I love the call outs and the audio and the red alert sequencing that's on this game. I could sit and listen to it play all day long. Guardians of the Galaxy, X-Men, you don't see this that often. There is that rumor, if you guys have been paying attention to any of the news online, that they think X-Men 97 might be the next cornerstone that we hear announced from Stearns going into the fall, but we will see. Deadpool, I have really grown to love Deadpool. And if you haven't had a chance to see the movie this summer, Deadpool and Wolverine, I cannot recommend it enough. Then we're followed up by the Avengers Hulk edition. Very, very cool to see that. Avengers Infinity Quest. I love all the comic book art since we're kind of talking about, the Avengers and the Hulk and everything else. Followed up by Iron Man. I'm kind of digging how he's doing the placement of his games and his grouping by theme. Spider-Man, the Batman. I of all the Batman pins, and as well as the movies that kind of went along with it, the Christopher Nolan series, with Christian Bale, obviously, the late great Heath Ledger, fantastic series of movies, wonderful way to kind of capture all that in a pinball machine. Another Star Trek, Judge Dredd with the topper. Man, that thing is so sexy looking. Look at that, nice and shiny, kind of just sitting on up there. Demolition Man, Cactus Canyon, everybody's favorite, Addams Family, and followed up by the Twilight Zone. And then again, just check out this fantastic decor. They kind of replicate what you see in the game with the doorway, and the spiral, and the same with Cactus Canyon. How they've got the wanted posters as well as the gold bags, the money bags up there. Really, really cool use of the stuff. No Good Gophers, Game of Thrones, 2 Game of Thrones, and then followed up by Black Knight, Swords of Rage, fantastic Steve Ritchie title, Medieval Madness, and Swords of Fury. So again, I'm totally digging how he went about his grouping. You've got that medieval style sorcery, Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy kind of grouping here together with the 2 Game of Thrones, Black Knight, Medieval Madness, and Swords of Fury. And then when you look up on the wall, really cool, the Ye Olde Pinball Long Island logo with the suits of armor and the sword. And then as we kind of work our way further down the row here, you've got Terminator 2 Judgment Day. WrestleMania, you can kind of love it or hate it. And then check it out, they do have a Barrels of Fun, Jim Henson's Labyrinth with the David Bowie art. It's not my favorite art, but I absolutely love the pin. You guys saw when I played it at Ocelot, I gave it a great kind of talk up. And then let's head on into the back and then come back out the other side up. So as you kind of come here towards the back, now we get into some of their older titles. These ones are not working right now. We've got a Gorgar, a Supercore EM, a Riverboat, reverse kind of wedge head, an Astro by Gottlieb, a Gottlieb Central Park, a Gottlieb Crosstown, a Gottlieb Buckaroo, and a Williams Teacher's Pet. So really nice to see that they've incorporated some of the older kind of pins in here as well. Definitely have something for everybody. Again, cool art, Long Island, we're right on the South Shore. Looks like Jaws took out a bite out of the surfboard. You've got a Baywatch, Alice Cooper's Nightmare Castle, World Poker Tour, The Sopranos, CSI 24. Man, I love that show back in the day. I think I heard recently that they're talking about doing a 24 movie. Cyclone, High Speed, Taxi. I love Taxi. You've got to love the Mikhail Gorbachev, back the art that they have going on here. You've got reference to Pinbot, Marilyn Monroe, Dracula. Just really cool title. Earthshaker with a kind of custom topper that they got going on. The Bride of Pinbot, and then the Gottlieb Nintendo Super Mario Brothers. So yeah, a couple of pins down here in the back, kind of not on the main floor. That's fine. Pins are hard to maintain, especially when we're talking older ones. And then we've got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back here. And let's go ahead and go up the other side now. So we've got Walking Dead. I have tried to get into this pin. I know that as the code changed over time, a lot of people really dig it now. It's just really not my cup of tea. Ghostbusters, very cool to see this out here, especially with the gigantic poster of Vigo on the back wall. Followed by Dracula, against here you've got that kind of spooky theme going on between the zombies and Ghostbusters and the 2 Dracula pins. One of my favorite things about the Dracula pin, and I didn't know this until my good buddy Mike got it, But when the ball gets on the field, at one point it does have kind of a telekinetic feature where it drags it across. And then he's even got to go along with that theme, Monster Bash, Elvira and the Party Monsters, and he's got all these really cool, like 1950s styles, horror-themed movie posters going on in the back there. Followed up by, again, the other notable Elvira titles, Scared Stiff, and then the recent Elvira's House of Horrors. Right after that, we get into everybody's favorite Keith Elwin title, Godzilla. I was kind of hoping they may have had a 70th anniversary here on site. They don't, but I will still spend time playing the regular Godzilla that they got, and then really cool Godzilla movie poster. Then followed up by Attack from Mars. Brian Eddy's my man. I love this title. The Wolfman poster, another Attack from Mars, Creature from the Black Lagoon with the poster up on the wall, followed by 2 Jurassic Parks. There you've got that crazy looking thing that eats Nidri in the movie. He's even got the East Dock instructional stuff up there, as well as the helmet and the worker jacket. Like, just such a great use of the way that the decor kind of flows in the space. Then we've got Rush, Iron Maiden, Metallica. They're talking about Metallica being the next title that's going to come out possibly in the fall as kind of a re-themed version of this, potentially being the first Spike 3 game. Kiss, Led Zeppelin, I love the band. I was so excited when this pin came out. It's not my favorite Stern title, but I still love the music. Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Elvis. There it is, man, the Big Lebowski. I've only really had a chance to play this a couple of times. I'm definitely going to dig on this later. Aerosmith, my good buddy Troy Gibby Gibbs that's with me. This is very high on his want list. Avatar. Then we get into Indiana Jones. We've got 2 Indiana Jones here. Both the Stearns one as well as the Williams title with the whip and references to the movies up on the wall. Pirates of the Caribbean. We've got 2 right next to each other, the Jersey Jack as well as the Stern. And then we get into, you guys know my favorites here, Star Wars. And with the really cool wall panels up on the wall. I'm actually have a project at home I'm working on right now to do the same thing. And then Tron. And that kind of rounds out the entire collection. I know I ran through this really quickly. Here goes the pricing like I told you guys about as well. Adults, again, 20, kids are 10. So if you, and then I failed to mention how excited I got as soon as I walked in, and what did I see on the floor but Jaws LE. So an opportunity to play an LE title is always high on my hit list, especially a game that's very, very close to possibly winding up in my own home arcade. So that's what you guys have in this really, really quick kind of walkthrough of Pinball Long Island. I honestly can't say enough. Like, if you were looking for a fantastic destination to come and play all day or just a few hours, and you are a pinhead and you happen to be up here on Long Island looking to get your game fix on, come on down to Patchogue. There's tons of bars, tons of restaurants. There's tons of stuff that you and the family can do, and you cannot do any better as far as a pinball destination to come on over, talk to Josh, check in at the front desk, support this local business, and please come on out and support Pinball Long Island. Okay guys, I really hope that you guys enjoyed that tour of Pinball Long Island. I had a blast. It was a wonderful weekend, great way to end the summer, bringing my son and his roommate for college up there with my friends, letting them experience both the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo and of course the wonderful time that we had out there hanging out with Josh at his place in Patchogue at Pinball Long Island. What a wonderful place to get your game fix on if you're looking to play some pins. One of the things that really stood out to me about his location, and I hope you guys picked up on it in the video, was the caliber of machines that he has on the floor. Not only is the destination, it's beautifully designed, very well kept, extremely clean. The games are well maintained because it's Josh, not just as the owner and operator, but the primary guy that's fixing and maintaining his games, and he's putting a lot of pride into that. But seeing him curate the collection by adding titles that are in that LE or higher tier category or collector's edition category of games, depending upon manufacturer, whether you're talking Stearns or Jersey Jack, that you may not get to find and play at a normal arcade destination. And I think that really speaks a lot to the investment that Josh is kind of putting into his business. Now, one of the other things that he had mentioned to me is that they are looking to kind of expand the place, hopefully in the next 12 to 24 months, by adding a bar to the location. So it will give you that much more than if you're looking to bring friends down and you're not just wanting to play games, but you're wanting to socialize and grab a drink as well. You'll be able to do both at some point. And we wish Josh and Pinball Long Island nothing but the best. So if you have liked this video and you've enjoyed this Kapows Arcade Adventures and you're not already a subscriber, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys on the next adventure. Get your game fix on.